So this is Morgan, which is a science fiction thriller directed by Luke Scott, who is the son of famous director Ridley Scott. And it basically tells a story about this girl who was created in a lab called Morgan, who's only 5 years old but possesses the body of a teenager. An incident happens with one of the scientists, and an employee from the corporation that's funding the Morgan project, played by Kate Mara, is sent in to try to determine whether or not Morgan is worth keeping alive. Is she a danger to society, or can she fit in with everyone else? Now, this is a movie I really didn't know much about until the screening came up. I only saw the trailer once. I saw a couple of ads on TV, and the impression I got from it is that this is going to be something like Ex-Machina, which is a movie that I really loved. Ex-Machina was one of my favorite movies of last year. So I was really looking forward to Morgan and thinking, okay, maybe this can't be as good as Ex-Machina, but it could be at least decent. And I was right on one aspect of that statement I just made. Because the first half of this movie, I think, is really good. It has a really intense atmosphere, kind of feeling of claustrophobia, since the location is practically in the middle of nowhere. You have a select few amount of characters, and it does have a few interesting ideas on human genetics and whether or not it can actually be accepted if, like, a creation that wasn't naturally born can pass as a human or is acceptable to society. It's got a handful of really good performances. First of all, we have Kate Mara, who is very cold, and there's not a whole lot to her. I mean, she does the best she can with what she's given, but she's pretty much there to be the stuck-up, straight-faced corporate type. There really isn't a whole lot to her character outside of that aspect. At least until the end, which I'm not going to say because that would be a spoiler. But with Kate Mara, she was decent, not a whole lot there. But the one who stole the show for me was Anya Taylor-Joy, who plays Morgan. What I love about this character is that she feels vulnerable. She's not like a bunch of other characters we've seen that are either artificial intelligence or bred in a lab. There's a lot of humanity within Morgan despite not being human. She's afraid a lot. She has a look of fear a lot of the time. She does want to do good and blend in with society, and I think Anya Taylor-Joy does a really good job at portraying that. And I also really love the makeup job that they do with Morgan, where you could see there's a little, like, silver within her body to make sure there's a little, like, it looks like she's kind of spray painted silver to give you the impression that she's not technically human. That's a neat little touch. However, for some people, I can imagine that being too much in your face. And then Paul Giamatti is in this movie, who is decent, except he's just playing Paul Giamatti as an asshole. He's just himself, and the rest of the scientist characters are pretty forgettable. Nothing special about them at all. So that's what I liked about the movie. The first half, I think, is really good and reminds me of the best parts of Ex Machina. And then the second half kicks in, and it turns into a generic mainstream action movie, almost like a martial arts film, believe it or not. And it feels like it just came out of nowhere and doesn't fit with the tone that the first half of the movie set up. And it's also full of action scenes that are really not filmed very well. There's a lot of close-up and quick cuts to where you can't even get a good impression of the action. It's at this point in the movie that it just starts to get really stupid and loses the quiet and atmospheric moments that the first half did very well. And then what they do at the end of the movie, it feels almost like an afterthought. It was almost like somebody sat down and went, okay, we really don't know how to end this movie in an interesting way. Let's just do this. Let's just do that. And it just feels so forced and so out of nowhere that at points it almost ruined the movie for me, because, I mean, the first half I really like, but the second half is just such a giant mess and feels I don't know. I'm irritated because I was really looking forward to this movie, and throughout the first half of the movie, I was loving it, and then it just got really stupid and brought the movie down a bit. So in that first half, I was thinking, okay, this is not a masterpiece, I'd say, but it's something that's definitely worth seeing in your lifetime. And then as it kept going, it's like, okay, it's still good. It's just not a great movie. And then by the end of the movie, I'm like, oh, damn it. I would say personally that this is a movie that you need to watch at your own risk because it has some really good moments to it. And there are a handful of good performances here and there. But the second half is just idiotic. And I don't know how anyone else is going to feel about this movie. Because at the time I'm recording this, there are no reviews. So either other critics agree with me, I'm in the minority. I have no idea what's going to happen. So that's how I feel at the moment right now. I don't think I'll ever see this movie again. And I've had time to think about it before doing this review. And ultimately, just watch it at your own risk. It could have been really good. But it just dropped the ball in the second half. Anyway, that's my review for Morgan. I hope you enjoyed this review. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on the movie, if and when you've seen it. And as always, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.